Hey everybody, how you doing? Into Weapons back again with you. Wanted to do a quick overview video for you guys on a new gun that I got in. Just got this to my FFL a few days ago. What we're looking at today is the Century Arms Micro Draco on 7.62x39, obviously an AK-47 pistol. The manufacturer number for this is HG2797-N. It is made in Romania at the Q-Gear factory, and it is the smallest of the Draco family, again being the Micro Draco. They also have the Mini Draco and the full-size Draco. The Mini Draco has a 7.75 inch barrel and the Draco has an 11.5 inch barrel. This comes in 1.75 inches smaller than the Mini Draco at a 6 inch barrel. So a very small barrel for a 7.62x39 cartridge. Couldn't resist, guys. Had to put a few rounds through it when we were at the range and we got it in. It's got one hell of a muzzle flash and a repercussion. I did take off the A2 style flash hider, put a slant on there when we put the rounds through it, just because you guys know, as you know, I love big muzzle flashes. So it is one hell of a gun, and I look forward to showing you guys some range footage on my next video. But what we're going to do is take a little bit closer look again at it. Again, made in Romania at the Q-Gear factory. Retail price on these is about $450 to $600. If you're interested in getting one of these guys, I highly recommend jumping on it sooner than later. I've heard that these are a limited production. So the first run, which I think many of you are familiar, did not come with the handguard here. I believe there was only about 100 of them made. So the second run, I don't know what the numbers are on them, but you know, these are really more of a novelty gun, so I don't expect that they would really come into the country in high numbers. It does not have to come into the country as a rifle. It is a pistol. It's classified as a pistol, so it does not have to meet 922R compliance, which means it does not have any U.S.-made parts on it that I'm aware of, except for maybe this handguard, which maybe Century puts on after the fact. I'm not really 100% sure on that, but it's going to have the Romanian trigger in there and all the other Romanian parts on there. It, again, does not have to meet that 922R compliance, so you can go ahead and customize this any which way you'd like. You don't have to worry about it being foreign-made parts or U.S.-made parts. Everything will work on here, which is real nice. Comes with one 30-round steel magazine, one 10-round polymer Tapco magazine, and the cleaning rod. It did come with a little bit of an owner's manual with it, which is pretty standard for any Romanian 8K. The laminate wood handguard on this, as I mentioned, is part of the second run on these pistols, and they're pretty nice actually. It's finished off a little bit nicer than what you'd find on a standard Romanian Wasser rifle. It's held together in one spot right up here in the front with this screw here, and then it does have a couple wood dowels in the back that slides into the bottom of the receiver. As you can see, mine's a little bit loose. You can hear it wiggling. I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think I can shim that up and make it a little bit tighter. But something definitely to make note of, that it did come out of the box just a little bit wiggly like that. So they didn't really put a whole lot of attention to making sure that the finish or the fit on that was, you know, 100%, which doesn't really surprise me for Romanian products or Century builds, so or Century imports, I should say, for that matter. The Romanian Bakelite grip is pretty standard on there, guys. You can find that on most Romanian rifles and pistols. It's got a standard 1.mm thick receiver with the dimples on here. It's got no side rail scope mount, which is kind of unfortunate, you know, but I didn't expect that really to have this on here. It is a pistol, so they're not expecting you to mount a scope on there, although you could also use it for red dot systems, which again would be nice if they had it on here, because it does lack a standard rear AKM sight, and what that does is it kind of doesn't allow you to use like an ACARS or a TWS dogleg. You're not able to use obviously the Ultimac gas rail sight system up here, or rail, because the gas piston is too short. And all you have for a rear sight is this spot welded onto the dust cover rear aperture or rear sight system, which works well. You know, it's pretty standard, you know, for what you'd find on any other AK as far as the style of it. It does look like you can drift it back and forth, which is nice. That's at least one feature. It's not 100% non-movable. But it doesn't, again, give you any option for any other type of, that I'm aware of, aftermarket optic system. One thing I was thinking of trying is putting the M92 Krinkov style dust cover on here, because those have a pretty nice sight system on the back that you can flip between the two different apertures, etc. And thought maybe that would be worth something trying out, and I think it should be able to pop on here and fit. with little to no modifications to the dust cover. So that's pretty much the sight system. I'm really not a huge fan of it. The front sight post is pretty standard. You can move it back and forth. As you can see, you got the pins there like you normally would right there. And you also have the exposed globe there, so you can get the post up and down. So at least they have the ability to do that and switch that front sight back and forth, left and right, that kind of thing, up and down. It does have the standard A2 birdcage flash hider. I'm going to be removing that. As you guys know, I like my muzzle flashes, so I'll be putting on either a a slant brake or maybe a Tapco slotted brake. I also did order the Snakehound Machine AK Loudner. This gun is pretty loud as it is, so I don't know if that's just going to make things more unbearable than what it probably already is, but we're going to have some fun with it anyway, so look forward to some of those videos coming forward in the near future as well. Got the standard Romanian fit and finish. The finish is pretty durable on these guns. If you own a Wasser, if you've used a Wasser, held a Wasser, you know what I'm talking about. It's a pretty standard Romanian finish on there, and it's pretty durable. I guess we could probably go ahead and break it down a little bit for you guys and take a closer look at it. One thing I noticed is that this handguard, because it's so thick up in the front here, when I'm taking the magazine out like I normally would, if I go like that, it really pinches my finger in there good, and that's just not very pleasant. I really have to monitor where I have my hand, and even when it's down here and I rock it forward, I still kind of hit my knuckles on that handguard. So maybe modify that handguard a little bit, maybe shim that down a little bit so it's, or sand that down so it's not so hard on my knuckles as I'm removing a magazine. But found that kind of interesting that I didn't kind of think about that already, and maybe that's just they have to have that for the durability of the handguard. I really have no idea. So the dust cover comes off like a standard AKM dust cover. We'll just go ahead and pop that off. The interesting thing about this is the parts did match. The trunnion matched the dust cover, which also matched the bolt carrier and the bolt. So I was kind of surprised to see those numbers actually matched on this. The inside here has a standard AK recoil spring, but it also has this buffer tube, or I should say this buffer pad that's in here, and that's stopping this little short bolt carrier. I don't know if I can get this back to show you guys. You can see that little tiny piston there, the gas piston in the bolt carrier, doesn't go all the way in, and it's not held in by anything except for the rails at this point. So if it were to come back any further on this rail or on this receiver without this being in here, it would just pop off the rails and you wouldn't be able to have a functioning cycling firearm. So there is a reason to have this buffer back here. I have one on the Mini Draco, so I am familiar with it. Seems like they're pretty durable. I don't expect that they would break up or cause any issues within the gun. And I haven't read any issues of people having with them, so I don't find that to be a problem. But disassembly is a little bit different, obviously, with it because you have to clear that. So just pushing it forward and then just kind of pushing forward on the buffer tube will let that kind of pop up and around it. Take the recoil spring out, and then this pad will just pop right out. As you can see there, again, just a standard pad. You can actually buy those AK recoil buffer pads that you put on the recoil springs, and this is very similar to that concept. So something that's been out there for a while. It's nothing new. I don't demonstrate here what would happen if you didn't have that in there. So again, if this was coming back here, this bolt carrier, you would end up popping off the rail and you wouldn't have anything holding your gun in place, except for maybe the dust cover, but that's a lot of pressure coming back on the dust cover, so it's a pretty good indication if you might have an issue with that. I don't know if anyone's had that issue or not, but that's what it's there for at least. So the bolt carrier will actually come out here, and as you can see, that bolt carrier is very small just to accommodate that shorter gas system. But the bolt itself is standard size. There isn't anything unusual about that. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. I haven't seen anything that stuck out to me as being a problem. And they have pretty good coat of oil on all these parts, so they did worry about the shipping on it, which was nice. And I don't know if you're going to make it out, guys, but it does have that 6-inch chrome line barrel, and they did a real nice job on the chroming there. It is visibly evident down there if you're able to see down there, which I don't think my lights are going to pick up for you, unfortunately, but it does have a nice chroming on there. And then the internals as well. Again, it has that Romanian trigger. It's not a Tapco trigger because it doesn't have to meet that 922R compliance. But it's not the worst trigger in the world. It's not the best trigger in the world. Pretty standard for a Romanian trigger. I would say it's probably better than my Arsenal triggers. Worse than a Tapco trigger. but I can live with it. There's nothing that's wrong with it, that's for sure. The handguard I'm not going to take off just because this flash hider is a real pain in the butt to get off, and I don't want to fiddle with it too much on camera here with this detent. You really got to crank on this thing to get it off, and I really don't want to mess with it. So you can remove that screw there. This just kind of pops right off once you have that flash hider off, and just a real short barrel there. It goes about, you know, from there to there, real tiny, and you just have that real small gas system here. The gas system doesn't have a gas tube like it normally would, so in order to clean this, you actually have to, you know, fish down into this thing, you know, right from the front here where that everything goes there, which is a little bit unusual. You know, it makes cleaning a little bit more difficult, especially to get down into this front gas block. It's going to be a little bit more tedious and difficult, but not too bad, I guess. It shouldn't be too bad. That's pretty much it, guys. I guess I'm looking forward to getting this thing to the range and showing you what it can do. Hopefully we can shut down some of the lights on the range so we got a real good effect of the muzzle flash, that kind of thing. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, as always, I appreciate watching. Until next time, take her easy.